last couple of videos that are that no sound.
So I'm working on some stuff for the orphans, finalizing that before we head off to the office. And Chantel wanted to share a few things. And then, yeah, I got a couple questions for her after she's done sharing. But thanks for joining us. Welcome back. We are the Amish Matchmakers. We are not Amish, actually, but hey, we help Amish singles to do what? That's over to you, baby.
Find godly spouses, create epic marriages, and develop legacies that are rooted in faith and freedom. So welcome. Glad you're joining us, if you're joining us today. So one of the things that I was sharing the other day was another deep dive kind of that I did that didn't get recorded. So I did want to share it because it's good. The word was Philippians 4:8. And again, I love one of the funnest things for me is to take something that has traditionally been taught, from the pulpit, at church, at just face value, and when we dive into really the context, and we understand the purpose behind the verse, everything is so intentional. So Philippians 4:8 kind of has a I don't know a reputation, right, of being the positive thinking verse, right? Things to think on these things whenever somebody's complaining, bitching and complaining, or a victim, that verse gets thrown at them. I feel like, right?
True.
I think
Very true.
so. We want to just kind of dive into why it's not so much a positive thinking verse, but really it's a framework for mental leadership, healing, and maturity. So the verse is, right, finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. So again, the misunderstanding is it's that just think happy thoughts, right? But that's not actually what Paul is saying at all. Paul is teaching intentional mental governance, right? Like we talk about having self-control, mastering our emotions, right? And our thoughts, our mindset. So the context, obviously, the context always matters. And Philippians is written from prison. Paul is not speaking from a place of comfort, safety, or the ideal circumstance. He's speaking from confinement. He's speaking from a place of injustice and uncertainty. He has no idea, when he's going to get out. So when he talks about what to think about, he's not escaping reality. He's refusing to let the circumstances around him dictate his inner world. We've talked a lot about, our inner world. What are the things that we are focusing on, marinating on? What is the tape recorder that we're playing over and over? When we talk about our traumas and our triggers, our life experiences, and how those can control our daily here today life. So when it says think about such things, the Greek word translated think about is logisomai. Look it, I might be pronouncing it wrong. But what that means is to calculate, to reason carefully, to take inventory, to dwell intentionally, okay? This is active mental discipline, not just like the passive positivity. Paul is saying you're responsible for where your mind rests. Like, think about that for a second. When we break down the qualities that he's sharing here, whatever is true, um, the alethes, I don't know if I'm even saying it right. It's Greek, y'all, and it's Greek to me. So, uh, true, whatever is true, not what feels true, not what fear tells you, what is actually the reality and truth. Okay. This thought confronts catastrophizing, right? Assumptions and distorted narratives. And those are what happens when we're operating from the place of our fear, of our trauma, our triggers, right? Um, so think on what is true, what is the actual reality. And sometimes we have to put on a different lens. We have to put on a lens that is free of our trigger and our trauma and see what is actually truth. That can be, our relationships, it can be an interaction, uh, anything, whether it's business, relationship, family, doesn't matter, right? There is truth and then there's our truth. And our truth is filtered by our trauma. It's filtered by our emotions. It's filtered by our experiences. So we have to take that filter off and see what the real truth is. Whatever is noble, okay? The Greek word here is semnos, which is dignified, honorable, and worthy of respect. Um, so this isn't about being serious. It's about refusing to let your mind spiral into cynicism or contempt. And then we go into whatever is right. Dikaios, maybe? Again, it's Greek. So whatever is right, which is whatever is aligned, just, and in right order. So speaking to the moral and relational clarity, not blame or judgment. Okay. So we have to remove the things of like contempt, blame, judgment, and think about what those things are. Again, going back to any scenario, I'm going to speak specifically to relationships. Um, you ever heard the word, the phrase that what you feed will flourish? So assumptions, distorted narratives, cynicism, contempt, blame, judgment. These are the counterparts to what Paul's saying here. And that can keep us in a state of stuck. It keeps us in a state of victim. And look, he's sitting here in prison in an unjust scenario. And this is the word. And how many of you, whether it's your work life, your relationships, feel like you are treated unjustly? And how bad does that spiral you down into the victim mentality? It's our mindset, right? So now we're going into whatever is pure, hagnos. Pure means unmixed, clean, not polluted by hidden motives. This includes intention, integrity, and freedom from manipulation or double meanings. Okay. Again, going back to that, the lens that we're seeing through, uh, the lens that clouds our vision, clouds our understanding, clouds our clarity within relationship. Um, the lenses that pollute how we see people. Gossip is a big one, right? Gossip is that which is unclean. It's if I'm gossiping about somebody, I'm speaking ill of somebody, what does that do to the person I'm speaking to? It clouds their vision of that person. And it's a terrible downward spiral and it's rampant. Uh, so, I mean, let's just throw out fake news, for example. It clouds how we see people. It clouds how we see the world. What is actually happening. Um, just a little side note. So, anyways, it's a really big one. It's a really big one because when we like to think that we are, oh well, I don't gossip. I don't I don't receive, people's gossip of other people's and look bad on them, or, and that's a real high and mighty statement to make. And I think believers do that a lot, but there's so much. And the reality is that your words are seed. Um, Life and death is in the power of the tongue, and your words are seed. So when we plant seeds of, uh, again, all of the contrast to this verse, when we're planting seeds of that in conversations about other people, we are actually planting we're clouding their judgment and their relationships, how they see people, how they respond to people. They may not have had a negative experience with that person, but because of the seed that you've planted, now there's doubt. Now there's fear. Now they don't have a clear picture of their own experience with that person. And that's really shitty. It's a really shitty scenario because we're human beings. So if we are operating from a place of feeding the negativity, we're basically creating a snowball effect, and it's destroying relationships. It's destroying trust. It's destroying relationships, and it's also feeding the idea that your behavior defines you, that your behavior is your identity. Listen, we all make mistakes. We all have, you know, maybe it's a bad day, a bad conversation. We respond to somebody out of our place of trigger, out of our place of hurt, which can hinder the relationship. But when that snowballs out, that behavior gets locked into an identity, and that's not fair. That's not true. That's one thing that I learned, working with abused and neglected children. uh I had 11 years in that world, and man, I think that's probably the greatest skill that I took from that season, was the ability to understand and know that behavior does not define a person. It does not define a child. It does not define a man or a woman. And we have to, as human beings who are, loving our neighbor as ourselves, we have to create space for somebody to do something different. So if I take a seed that somebody has planted about my friend John, and I allow that to grow and fester and allow my doubt and fear and distrust to manifest, that's not creating space for John to do something different than he did with Frank over here, right? They may have just had a misunderstanding, and that is taken out of context and out of control. And now every relationship that John has, he's pinholed into that identity. Again, I feel like this is a really important part of this verse. So that's a little side trail. Anyways, okay, we're moving on from pure, right? Because that's the intention, integrity, freedom from manipulation and double meanings. So now we're going into whatever is lovely. Prosperous, that which draws the heart toward love, not fear. Beauty, kindness, gentleness, humanity. This is especially important when bitterness wants to take over. Again, going back to, what lens we're seeing through. Are we allowing the clouded lens to be what we see through? Um, so that which draws the heart towards love and not fear. Um, there's the whole verse in Corinthians of love, right? So, when we think about all of that, which is love, this is what he's talking about here. To focus on that which draws love. What is whatever is admirable, euphemous. Admirable means good report, worthy of speaking of. Um, Paul is addressing rumination, the habit of replaying offense, harm, or worst case outcomes. Those are like the glass half empty conversations that are just, pulling you down into this like rumination of all of the negative, right? The negative side of a scenario. You know, we spin our wheels thinking about all of the what ifs, all of the the fear driven mindset, right? That's exactly what he's talking about right here. So, the flip side is, what is a good report? What is the glass half full side? What is the potential? What brings life? What brings hope? What brings forward motion? That is what's admirable, right? Excellent and praiseworthy. It's not about perfection. It's about what builds life instead of draining it. The psychological part of this is really attentional control. What you repeatedly focus on. Um, what we repeatedly focus on strengthens our neural pathways, shapes our emotional regulation, and influences our behavior. That's where, we talk about affirmations. Okay. Affirmations. People, have run the gamut with affirmations, oh, it's what's the word, metaphysical, or it's, the name it and claim it or whatever. It doesn't, none of that matters, right? What we're told here is, what are we focusing on? What is it that we're focusing on? Are we intentional with the life that we're focusing on? Life-giving words, life-giving thoughts, life-giving mindsets. Um, that's what is, the excellent and praiseworthy here is to be intentional with your mind. Um, and repeat it, not just one time. It's a repetition, it's a habit. What is the habit of your mindset? What is the habit that you are really focused on? Um, Again, what our thoughts are and how we manage them definitely affects our emotional regulation. And I'm talking about that a lot right now because it's big. We are having a hard time emotionally regulating. Our systems are on overdrive. The notification addictions, right? The influx of news and opinions and all of these things are totally uh, like causing dysregulation in our system. So what are we doing proactively? What are we doing to change it, to actually have the power over ourselves and our mind and our behaviors? What are we doing? We have to regain that control over our mind, because that's what influences our behavior. Okay. Um, so it's not ignoring you. It's not telling you to ignore the pain. It's teaching you to rest where your attention wants, uh, to rest your attention once pain is acknowledged. Like, we're not saying don't acknowledge the pain, don't acknowledge, the experience. Listen, it's not a denial. It's really about knowing what's happening and then choosing. Again, talk a lot about choice, choosing what you're thinking of. So your triggers hijack your attention, they narrow your focus, they feed your loops of fear, right? So this verse right here, Philippians 4:8, is the interruption of that. Okay. It's a good question to ask, is what am I rehearsing right now? Is it aligned with truth or fear? Is my mind creating peace or chaos? Those are really good questions. So we're choosing what to think about. We get to choose which story gets authority over our life. Okay. You have the power to do that. It's just a matter of acknowledging it and the awareness and being willing to maybe lay down your thoughts and opinions and your I'm right about something or someone and choose love, right? Choose peace. So what Paul's really saying is you cannot always control what happens to you, right? We can't, but you can steward what you allow to occupy your inner world, your mind, your emotions. Um, so not a the verse is not a spiritual bypass. It's actually like calling you into maturity. It's calling you into a place where you are responsible for your reactions. You are responsible for what you are spewing out. You are responsible for the lens that you're seeing through. Um, so truth over fear, clarity over chaos, and life over rumination. So I want to encourage you to just be thoughtful in your mindset, be thoughtful in your thought life, be thoughtful in, where your emotions are coming from and where you're placing them, and how you're placing them. So it's a really great thing to mark, in your identity and a tool. So there you go. That's my deep dive on Philippians 4:8. I hope you enjoyed it. And
I enjoyed it. That was good, babe. Thanks for sharing. You're awesome. And we got to get to the office. But look, these are great things to walk out, live it. Don't just talk about it, but do it. And yeah, this will help you find love for sure. It all applies. It all works together for sure. So go out there and do it. Take action. Go find love. And we'll tune in tomorrow for some more love talk with the Amish Matchmakers. And yeah, I just had a big victory myself. Since we're live, I'm going to tell about it real quick. I finished up monthly giving. I was in Mexico, and so I took the time today to while she was doing her live here, to finish a website, a small just giving website for the orphans in Mexico. Super pumped about it, where it actually allows you to subscribe. We'll be posting it on our, if you don't know, we have an Epic Your Life philanthropy page on Facebook. Go check it out. Epic Your Life Philanthropy, and you can see ways that you can give to the orphanage through subscribing, and they get monthly support from you. It goes from $20 all the way up to $1,000. 20 is a pantry helper, 50 is hygiene and care partner, 100 is utility supporter, 300 is education and care sponsor, 500 is medical and stability backer, and 1,000 is monthly legacy impact. Some of you have businesses or way you just have the funds to give monthly. Great, let this be someone that you support on a monthly basis. It's a very reputable thing, and it goes directly to them, straight through PayPal, directly to their bank account. And
middleman.
No middleman. Super pumped about that. Look at that, babe. Little link, and you can choose which one you subscribe. Man, I'm super pumped. It's amazing what you can do partnering with AI, by the way, because AI helps speed up the process. So look at that.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right. We'll see you later. I'm super pumped. She was doing that and I was doing this, and this is how we roll. And now we're going to head to work and go create and develop an awesome business and keep developing Nesbitt Repairs. But lots going on. God bless you guys. Thanks for being here live.
All right. Have an amazing day. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. We love to hear from you.